pack of cards,
Here, take this one
a
off.
couple energy drinks.
You gotta do
It's
it.
not
Let me
much.
do it.
Certainly, I love you to check out like the play mats and t-shirts and stuff, because I think that's really good value. Like the t-shirt and playmat combo.
But he's had like a couple of energy drinks, man, for $5. The world sure is different because it costs like $5 for one energy drink.
Depends on what kind you buy.
They are expensive, Tony, with the energy drinks.
Yeah,
you might give some money.
No, not. This is old. We're not giving any money to this.
It's great. You get a shirt, you get a playmat if you happen a game, and you can support the game that way. But maybe you don't play games, or you can't back the Kickstarter. Just telling other people about its existence is also super, super helpful. Please, at least take a few minutes to check out the Kickstarter, watch the video. I'll explain a lot more about what's going on with this app. And if
he made a video to tell you to watch another video instead of just telling you what's in the other video.
Hey, Danny.
That way gets 2 views. He's a marketing genius, Tony.
Yeah. All right, so you guys think that I'm way out of line with the whole Jeremy's gay thing, right?
We're on the edge here, Tony. Give us more evidence.
Convince us.
One more bit of evidence.
Get me something to drink as well.
This is a video from the quartering.
So, Coach Red Pants actually keep sucking on Sargon's dick, boy. V says that Sargon's cum tastes awfully good. So does it?
Hey, it's me. I am at ChillerCon, and I am effed up. I've had a lot of drinks. People are buying me drinks. They're giving me drinks. I'm sitting in a nice chair here in the middle of the opening entryway here. I am really messed up. I don't think I've been this drunk in a long time. Really drunk. Having a great time though. We watched the World Series on the bar, at the bar on the TV, and just enjoying it. People thought I was John Croc. I had people mistaking me for John Croc. That's what life is all about. Love you guys. I'm really, really drunk. But I got the night. I mean, here's the thing. Andrea let me come out here to Chiller Theater in Secaucus. I got Tom Tuttle here. Tom Tuttle sitting there talking to Ted. Ted, of course, is married to Molly. This is Molly from Annie, the movie Annie. Beautiful. And because of that, we had this exquisite dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse with the cast of Annie. Eileen Quinn joined us, as well as Pepper, Roseanne Sorrentino. She sat next to me, and we just had a great night. And the movie Annie from 1982, it's important to Andrea. Andrea loves the movie. I remember it. I was there when I was a kid. I remember it coming out. It was important. It was an important movie. So we had steaks and drinks and stuff. Sorry guys, I'm really drunk. Came out to the bar, some people recognized me. I'm nobody. I used to be somebody, but I'm nobody now. Even still, some people recognize me. and bought me some drinks. And I couldn't buy any drinks because people were buying drinks for me. We're watching the World Series on the monitor, and I drank so much alcohol. I am really gone. In a way, like, I just want to say, I really feel like grateful. People know who I am. I didn't think that. I didn't think anybody would know who I was. People know who I am. And the kindness that people express towards me by buying me drinks, really nice. I don't know. I'm happy. I'm really having a nice time tonight. I don't have anywhere to go. I got a hotel room. Andrea let me get a hotel room, so I'm here tonight. I can drink all I want, get obliterated, and then drive home tomorrow morning. So I'm doing that. I'm taking advantage of this opportunity. What's up, bro? You okay? Bro. You never know, you never know. This is Molly from Annie. Yeah. My buddy Ted. Everybody's drunk right now. Bam Margera has the room next to mine. There are animal noises. I wanted to bang on his door and say, Bam, you're a faggot, to get him to come down and be with us here. He's in his room. There are weird noises coming from his hotel. He's right next to me. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. I'd love to get Bam down here, but Hey, Bam. Hey, man, it's Comic Skate. What are we going to do? And then have Bam say, whatever the fuck we want. But Bam can't say that because he's a corporate show. People saying, do not drive. No. I'm drinking because I've got a hotel room. So I got a hotel room here. I'm not driving until tomorrow. Just FYI. I'm drinking tonight because I've got this rare opportunity to drink. I'm with my friend Tom Tuttle's here. Tom Tuttle. He's talking to Ted. Tom Tuttle, Rippaverse critic extraordinaire. Wait. We got a nice TV here. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't think I've been this drunk in 20 years. I am really drunk. You don't understand, like, people were like, yo, man, you're drunk. There's some people at the bar that would call me John Kruk. Like, yo, man, you're John Kruk. John Kruk is a fat guy who played for the Phillies in 1993. I am wearing a Phillies uniform. So some people thought I was John Kruk, and they started feeding me free drinks. I love you guys. I love you too. Thank you. I know I'm a fuck up. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I got a couple of super chats. Thank you for that. I thought I would turn on my my phone. I truly love you guys. You know that, I hope. I don't usually turn on my camera when I'm drunk like this. I am very, very, very drunk. Talking to Comic Artist Pro Secrets fans. We're live.
We're live.
Hi, hello, thank you. Send some super chats, but I can't read them because I can't even see
I'm way more
straight.
better at talking shit.
Seriously, I went to the bar
Helldivers
and everybody
2
was
tonight.
so nice to me. I think I was fed like three, maybe four drinks.
Don't tell me what the new
7 and
drama
7s,
is
like doubles. So I'm out of my
from
mind.
your angle.
It's a lot of alcohol for me. Maybe not for you, but for me. I'm not Nick Ricada, guys, so I can't do this. It's not what I do normally at all.
What's up, Praetor
Turn
7?
the camera around.
What's the deal, dog? Jim's gonna come in here and
It's not what I do.
get us up to date on all
I'm
the
not
current
normally a drunk,
fudge, all the drama
But I'm having
between
such a good
Frog
time
Tony,
because my friend Tom
this
Tuttle is with
fucking
me.
fat
I'm
retard
at
right
this
here,
cool
Ethan.
convention. I love collecting autographs.
The Liam
I
drama.
collected
I
all the
can't
autographs
wait.
I wanted, and then somehow got harangued into hanging out in the bar
Orangutan.
scene. That people started giving me drinks because they didn't know who I am.
And
I'm still Ethan Van Sciver. I mean, whatever,
moving on as
People
I
know who
drink
I am.
pina colada.
Some people recognize. Are you Ethan? Yeah, I am. Let me buy you a drink, okay?
Earlier,
I
man,
start getting drinks.
you're not
I'm a
gonna believe me
nobody.
because
I'm
you
really
didn't see the
not.
footage.
But here in New Jersey, people.
But I saw that PUBG has a PS5 version out now. Lordy day. PUBG was the shit on PS4. Now that it's on PS5. But I played it a little bit. It looks crisper. It looks good, but the buildings and stuff just don't blow up or anything, like you're playing Battlefield 6 and buildings are exploding around you and shit, and I don't know, PUBG just isn't as cool as it used to be. It's a bit hard, sorry about that. All right, well, let's get to drone. What did I say we're gonna do? Like an alien Green Lantern. I saw somebody draw a Green Lantern the other day that was just like a fucking random ass alien. Just a random alien. And so I thought that'd be kind of cool to do. Are PUBG and DayZ the same thing? I think at some point they started off on the same like system, off the same whatchamacallit. Like I think PUBG might have started off as a DayZ mod, but then it became its own thing. It was fun for a while because it was like the anti-Fortnite. You know what I mean? It was like, nah, there's no goofy shit over here with PUBG. But now when you play it, like everything looks like everything looks like fucking like K-pop. Which, no offense, I got nothing against K-pop. Yeah, I just had a birthday party. I just had a K-pop birthday party with my daughter. Remy, what's the purple one with the ponytail? That's who she was dressing up as. Yeah, it is such a fucking downer though. Like you could be working, like you wake up on the shore, everything's gray and dreary. You fucking walk around the island, you start gathering shit, you're making sure you don't starve. You're trying to drink water, but you got to make sure that you're drinking good water. The zombies kind of suck, which I feel like I think DayZ might be like an Arma mod. That's what it feels like. Now that I played Arma, like DayZ feels like an Arma mod. Like it wasn't like, hey, we're gonna put some effort into the zombies. Like not really. Like the zombies weren't even really a factor. Like you might get like a few of them at a time on DayZ. At least when I was playing it, you might get a few of them at a time. They're just kind of going, rah, rah. But the real problem was like other people. If you like pina coladas, I like the pina coladas. But again, man, like I'm like, I want destructible buildings. I don't know. There's something called zomboid, where it almost looks pixely, right? It's like an isometric view of the game, almost like Sunstrike, and it's a little pixely, right? It's a little like the resolution isn't as high. You know, they're not trying to go for ultra realistic graphics like fucking Days Gone, which I like. Days Gone. That's another zombie one that was pretty good. I wish it was like multiplayer, but yeah. So there's like Zomboid where you're like a little guy and you're moving around and shit, and the game's like real deep, but like the graphics aren't really there. So I don't know, man. I want like maybe like State of Decay might be hitting it. Like I tell you who I want. I want this guy to be a zombie right here.
Hey, what's up?
What's going on, dude?
How you been?
I've been good. How have you been?
I've been doing good. Just streaming every night, talking about news and politics and stuff. And
yeah, what's the politics going on right now? How's it?
Well, they supposedly signed a deal with Iran. I don't know. I haven't been able to see the paperwork to see how good it is, if it's good or not. I don't know yet. A lot of election stuff going on, different things, and Trump is moving, trying to get this Save America Act passed. He's basically said, because I don't know if you know what FISA is, the FISA courts, where they can go and get warrants to spy on people. And that expired, and so they want to renew it. And Trump said he's not going to sign it unless they attach the Save America Act, which requires citizenship proof to register to vote. So
I think that's completely normal.
Yeah, it's great.
When I go to vote, I have to show my ID. I'm not sure why anybody else doesn't have to. It seems odd when somebody doesn't have to, right?
It does. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like why?
I buy, like, I have gray hair on the side of my head, like fucking Mr. Fantastic, and I still have to show an ID at Walmart to a woman who's barely 19. You know what I mean? So it's like I have to show ID for beer, but people are just like voting without their IDs. It's crazy. So yeah, I'm down with that.
That's good. That's pretty much it. Just a bunch of other stuff. There was a cross burning in Grant Park. Did you hear about that?
Where's Grant Park?
It's in Chicago. They, someone just happened to get a film of it, but then somebody caught the guy running away, and it was another one of those Jussie Smollett type things.
Are you for real?
Oh yeah, it was an Asian art student, a senior, like a fourth year student at the Art Institute, Asian dude, and he was trying. Basically, he got caught, and so he's like, "Oh, I was protesting Trump by burning a cross."
I don't know how that works.
Yeah, it doesn't. So I don't know. I don't know if they'll even charge him, because he's a socialist, and Asian. So,
dude, I was watching this movie called House of Dynamite. Have you seen it?
No. Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. You're watching the first strike of a nuclear attack, and you're seeing it from like different people's point of views, right? So at first you're seeing somebody inside like a silo, and they're like watching space, and they're going, "Hey, we've got a target. Hey, we've got something going on. We need to go ahead and call, SATCOM or whatever the fuck, right?"
Yeah.
And so first they like call a SATCOM, and you're just hearing voices, and you're like, "Oh, okay, you're hearing the voices of the people they're calling," and then it like switches to the people they were calling, and you're seeing like who the actors and actresses were of those voices. So then you're like seeing like another angle of the same situation. And then halfway through that, they have to call the president. And like as soon as the president starts talking, you're like, damn, I fucking know that voice. Right. And like then it like switches again in the third act, and you find out like oh, that's cool. That's who they have as the president, or maybe it's not cool, depending on how you feel. But like, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, you're kind of like watching this first strike. Like they send interceptors to hit the missile.
Okay.
I think it's like North Korea launches it. So North Korea launches a nuclear missile. We send up interceptor missiles, and the guy's like, you know, so what's the deal with these? He's like, well, it's fucking 50-50. And then the guy's like, it's 50 is like, it costs fucking $4 billion for this program, and you're telling me it's 50-50? Like $4 billion got us 50-50? And they're like, yeah. And it's like, all right. And so they, you know, the fucking, and eventually, spoilers, you find out who the president is, and you also they miss the missile altogether, and it hits, and they figure out like where the trajectory of the missile is, and it's fucking Chicago, right? So like halfway through the movie, dude, I was like, fuck, where's the missile gonna hit? Like, is it gonna hit Atlanta? Like, and then it was like, guys, it's gonna hit Chicago. And I don't know, I just kind of like,
and everybody just
like,
went, oh well.
Yeah, dude, I kind of gave a little exhale. I was like, oh, whew. It's just Chicago. Like,
yeah. It might be an improvement.
Yeah. Just rebuild that whole area. Just drop it right into the ocean, right into the lake.
Yeah, Lake Michigan. You heard about them finding a little mini Stonehenge inside of Lake Michigan, right?
What?
Yeah. Yeah,
Really?
it's like under like 400 feet of water or something like that, and it's got like they found like a carving in it of a mastodon, you know, like a woolly mammoth. It's crazy, dude. It's crazy, and it's like,
is that real?
It's real. It's real. I mean, the pictures are real.
The ocean, I know it's not the ocean,
but and like
fuck,
they're saying that like the whatchamacallit, the last time that was above ground, you know, above water would have been like prior to during that whole Younger Dryas area, when, you know, like whatever before the flood type of thing. So who knows?
Jim, did you see the new studies that came out? I think it was mid last year, of this giant glacial portion that was connected to the Michigan lakes and all that. And that wall, that ice wall, completely collapsed and just disintegrated everything in America. And that's why in those certain parks, those really random stones, they're like giant whatevers, they belong to California.
Yeah, they
all the way down.
They know it happened. The question is how and why, like what caused it. You know what I mean? Because like the math on it, the amount of energy it would take to melt that much ice that was there would have taken thousands of years of the temperature being hot.
It was probably the same thing that melted the Machu Picchu stones and melted the stones in Egypt.
Yeah.
And there's a whole plain that goes all the way across, all the way down to those areas in the Machu Picchu areas, all the way to Canada, and it just drifts across the UK, of where all these meteorites probably just pelted. Whack, 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 whack.
Machu Picchu.
And they've essentially, if they had that civilization, as you were saying, during the Younger Dryas area, which I fully believe in, there was clearly
well, somebody built all the mounds.
Civilization.
Somebody built the mounds.
Imagine the temperature that had to be to melt those stones.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, they just found that big wall in Montana or somewhere. It's a huge wall with the stones that look just like Peru, and you know, the giant interlocking stones that don't have seams in Peru and stuff like that. They're huge stones.
Yeah.
Like, how did they found a wall like that in Montana?
So they're under the water in Lake Michigan. There's like a fucking ring of rocks,
like a mini Stonehenge type of thing, set up with rocks, and one of them has a woolly mammoth, whatever you want to call it, a woolly mammoth.
They bury him under the monolith. So, like the person who brought the stone with their family and their culture, they would bury really important things under each stone, and it's a thing that they do in stone. All people of all stone tilter uppers put something underneath it. In the Younger Dryas era, there's also the Norway slip, and that Norway slip is what caused the entire that whole basin, the North Sea, between Britain going to Europe and everything. It's called Doggerland, and that whole slip is what. So, what Jim is talking about during the Younger Dryas era, the water was up to 200 meters lower than what it is right now. So
and the seafloor was higher because the pressure from the water. So like stuff that you would say like, oh, that seamount wouldn't be above ground because it's still 210 meters or 220 meters, stuff like in the Azores and stuff. But in actuality, the seafloor dropped because isostatic pressure on the earth, depending on weights. So when the glaciers and everything were on the land, it was pushing down the land and pushing up the seafloor. And once you release,
and that happens in different areas.
It goes back. So
crust.
Yeah. Like I think Atlantis was real, and it was in the Azores.
Well, so
the Azores is that in the middle of America?
No, in the middle of the ocean, basically along the mid-Atlantic Rift. It kind of lines up with everything Plato said.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the Ozarks.
I'm of the impression.
I'm sorry.
Most of the land, because they've over the last decade, they've done at least 10 to 20 studies on the Mediterranean Sea, and you know how you have Morocco and you have Spain and you have that strait there. For the longest time, there was a giant barrier, and the Mediterranean Sea had solidified and drained to like the smallest of ponds. And between Portugal and Spain and that little Moroccan landmass in between there, that finally broke and cascaded. And they said it took X amount of hundreds of years for the cascading to calm, but as it was filling up the Mediterranean Sea around the regions of Cyprus going to Italy, there's this giant fault right there, and you can see from the initial flooding from that, you can see where that barrier wall broke as well and caused the most insane amount of landslide as it was filling up the lower portion of the Mediterranean Sea. And that all happened when humans were alive.
Yeah. Well, humans, like people like
humans. Imagine witnessing that.
But humans with our same brain pan, our same form, everything have been around for 250,000 years.
It's older than that, Jim. Science has proven it.
Yeah. Well, just everything keeps getting older.
You have that skull that's in China that's 750,000 years old. And it has frontal cranial progression, which means they were eating fish. They were getting their omegas. And then you also have, I think it's like Spain or something that just recently came out in the last year or two. They found a ludicrously old bone of things that's just like 300 to 500,000 years old or something ludicrous like that. So the Neanderthals, they had the trait. They had the genetic trait of your trachea, that muscle that expands. Mm-hmm. Neanderthals had it. The Denisovans had it. And the Denisovans are an extremely older genetic being than we are, but they had the same trait. So they could hum, they could whistle, they could speak.
They made jewelry and shit, didn't they? I mean, they were like,
yeah.
Well, are they the elongated headed people?
No, they're just like big ass, badass Siberian coast down to Indonesian people. Like,
well, they're actually finding out that like several different species of humans live together around the same times, and basically we are the ones who basically just were able to wipe everybody else out. I mean,
how terrifying is that? Could you imagine at one point in time, like there was like halflings?
Well, there was, they found the bodies in Africa. These tiny little like halfling weird creeps.
They still exist.
Neanderthals that would eat us. You know, I mean, it's kind of fucking crazy.
Yeah, the Neanderthals were like scary, but I guess they just didn't.
They were shorter versions of us,
stocky, a lot stronger.
Beasts.
Yeah.
They were literal.
Like double the strength of a human.
Strong men. And
like
they
a
actually have
Turkish guy, like one of those like Turkish stout, hairy turkey guys.
and they actually, if I'm not mistaken, they have a larger cranial capacity than we do.
It's possible. I mean, it's just, the stuff fascinates me when you look into it, and like people go, oh, this happened, this, and it's like, oh, these Egyptians here built these pyramids. They didn't build those fucking pyramids. Those pyramids have been there. The Sphinx has been there. It was there. That's why all the shit they built later couldn't match what was older. It was just basically like adding on and trying to copy what they saw, but you couldn't do it. You know?
Yeah. What happened is the funeral mafia came into this region known as Egypt, and they're like, man, these are amazing. Let's add our so the whole
funeral mafia.
They've never found any mummies in any pyramids. You know that, right? Any of these pyramids, they never found any mummies. They never found any sarcophagus.
Well, they're not meant for that. They're not meant.
That's what I'm saying. Some people think they might have been power plants.
When Napoleon went to Egypt, he actually went through that Rosicrucian ritual where you have to sleep in the bottom of the Giza pyramid, and he definitely slept in the pyramid, but he didn't sleep in the public portion that we know of, and he went all the way down, and when he came up out of the pyramid, that's when you have that painting of him on the horse like this, and they're like the pyramids are behind him, that really famous painting, because that was his ascension into his weird sex cult. And but the Gaza pyramids, inside of them is bedrock. They're pure bedrock. 20 to 30% of each of those pyramids are bedrock. So they encased the cave system that is under those under that, because really that's a plateau that's just filled with sand. And back in the day, they used to keep it super clean, super duper clean. And the platform that's in front of all the pyramids, those are carved rocks that are on top of the bedrock. Yeah. And they have a whole nation under that system.
Well, it's supposedly a giant maze, like a big maze underneath, huge, like 3 levels of maze, but it
goes down further than you could imagine, like probably Eiffel Tower height is how far that goes down. It's ludicrous. And the same thing's in Turkey. Turkey has those and Israel is one of the most sought after cave systems in the world, because they also have 2 natural springs.
I know they found, like when they were in Turkey, they found a bunch of stuff when they found those, what is it called, like Göbekli Tepe and Karen and Tepe, when they're like, these things have been underground for 12,000 years, 14,000 years. And it's like, well, how did somebody do this if they were just hunter-gatherers? It's like they couldn't. You needed to have some kind of society with a workforce to be able to accomplish building this shit, these giant cities that are buried, So I don't know. I think, I think
Göbekli Tepe used to be, because you remember that culture that came out of Göbekli Tepe, they ended up taking over Egypt, but they were the original scalpers of the snakes and the hyenas and the lions. That's where you went to go have your child. That's where they monopolized alcohol, their honey mead. Essentially, what that main temple is, it has that snake figure on there with all those head busts in there, and then on the carving on the wall, on the winter solstice, the sun shines over the face. That thing was filled up with putrid water. And they would put because remember at this time during the agrarianism, when agrarianism was increasing, they started domestication of wheat and barley and all that. And that specific fungus grows on the wheat. And they would put it in this giant thresher thing, and they would let that mead fungus down into the thing, and it would fill the tube up, and they would also fill it with water, and during certain periods after you would do your harvest, it would fill that tub up, and you would get that psychedelic honey mead from it. And then in certain facilities inside of the Gobekli Tepe area, they have giant troughs. And those were probably the high priest rooms where they would have their own stash of this psychedelic weed. Because also in these areas, or psychedelic alcohol. And also in these areas, they found globular amphora carved stones. And inside of those stones, or inside of that pustule thing, it was weed, and it was opium, and it was ephedra from the ephedrine plant. And they would grind it together so they would be high and stone off their mind, off of their alcohol. And then they would hotbox opium, basically hashish, weed, and ephedra. And they would hotbox that at the same time. And then they would have their crazy sex orgies as well. But that's what Gobekli Tepe was. So if you killed a lion out in the field, you had to take it back to the temple, and only the monopolists, the priests, were allowed to scalp and dismember your lion, your kill. And it was
a lot of stuff that history and like the science, like there's this whole thing with these archaeologists and these different historians and the academics. They don't want to change, but they get something to go, oh, this is it. They don't ever want to look, go, hey, we could be wrong. Or maybe, like they base a lot of things like, oh, we haven't found any boats. It's like, well, boats were made out of wood, and wood's going to fucking decay. So how are you going to find a boat that's 10,000 years old? That doesn't make any sense. And a lot of stuff, they find clay pots and stuff and things that'll hold up underwater and stuff like that. But another thing is like they sent there's that guy, what's his name? Flint Dibble or something like that. The guy who was like, oh, there couldn't have been a society because we found the seeds and we could tell that these seeds didn't have the ability to fall off. They fell off on their own, which meant people weren't.
Yeah, they can tell.
But that change, that as soon as people stopped collecting, like say there was a disaster and something happened and people stopped having, cultivating, the seeds would go back within like one generation of seeds. They would go back to falling off themselves. It doesn't take like hundreds of years for the seeds to do it. It's like immediately once it's like there's a study, a train of thought that says like everything is connected, like plants, animals, and stuff. And like do you hear about the study of the mice where if they train these mice to find the best way out, where they had like lights and they would shock mice if they went through the light and to try to train them to go through the dark hole and the exit of a maze. And then so many generations, the mice would learn and pick it up. But then they found out that mice that were never there, that were like on the other part of the world, actually improved also. They can prove that in petri dishes too. And the same thing happens with crystals. Like once, like when a new material is synthesized in a lab, it's hard to get it to form crystals. But then once anyone anywhere gets it to form a crystal, then they can do it somewhere else. Yeah, and that's a phenomenon that exists where in multiple laboratories, once they figured out the algorithm specifically, they can all mimic it almost instantly. I mean, that could explain why people built pyramids all over the world, because once somebody started doing it, then it got passed through whatever, this consciousness, the earth consciousness, whatever the organism is. I don't know, man. I said it's interesting. I don't know if I believe it. The consciousness is not. So what I found out, and it makes the most sense in all these studies, bro, Jim, you have to start reading these studies like every day of your life. You have to be autistic like I am. So your brain, your consciousness is nowhere near your brain. It's in your entire nervous system. It's connected to your pancreas, to your heart, to your stomach, to your liver. Your conscious is connected to all of that. And your brain is only there's a light bug in here. Sorry, buddy. Is the cholesterol that holds the nanotubes that have the memory crystals, and your eyes are connected through a different way.
I'm like trying to draw and listen to you guys talk. I'm like, what the fuck? What memory crystals in your cholesterol? All right, so your brain makes nanotubes as you get older, and that's why the wrinkles happen, because the cholesterol is trying to accompany all of the tubes that are being formed as you grow.
And in that process, inside of those nanotubes are like the shit that you see from Superman, and it imprints a shadow and emotions on inside of these nanotubes, and that's where you can pull deep memories from. But that's not where your conscience is. That's where essentially your memory is stored through visual representation, stimulation, through touch, smelling, and all that. Somehow is able to be imprinted inside of these things that are inside of the cholesterol that's in your brain inside of tubes.
Do either of you guys got dogs? Have a
Yeah.
dog? All right. Have you ever noticed how when you come home, your dog's there, knows you're coming there, even if you come in a different car or you don't know which way you come or different time of day, you're not normal time of day. There was a study done where they watched dogs and their owners. And when the owner decided he was going to go home, all right, not when he got in his car, not when he left work, not when he was driving down the street, when the owner decided he was going to go home, dogs would go and sit at the door and wait for the owner. That's amazing.
So if you take they figured this out like 60 to 80 years ago, and we're finally getting to play around with it in the real world now. The Palantir dude, Palmer Luckey, who runs Palantir, his super secret Oculus thing that he runs for the government now, that he runs through Anduril, it can see insane waves of light and vibrations and microwaves, and it can see, because like there's like 2 or 3 plants, because plants can see color somehow. Make it make sense to me. But also, like, there's a couple bugs that can see like 7 or 8 different colors. The more than
Did you study about the plants where, like, say you're growing plants in a greenhouse and you put stakes in the ground, all right, for the plant, like especially cucumbers and stuff like that grow on vines, and so it'll grow to that. It'll know where that is and grow to it. But before you place the stake, if you're growing plants over and over again and you keep doing it, the plant will start growing to where the stake is gonna be.
Yeah. Apparently, like, plants have obscene amounts of consciousness.
There's like this belief that there's this entire fungus network under the ground that communicates for everything.
Yeah,
I'm saying like that trees can communicate, trees can pass things through. When like a tree's going to die, it can pass its nutrients down through the fungus to other saplings and stuff like that. It's wild, man.
Yeah, like that death. I've essentially come. What was I just saying before you said that?
I don't know. I sidetracked. About funguses or mushrooms?
Oh, all the colors and everything.
Okay.
So Palmer Luckey, with his super military headset, it can see in real time. It can see through walls. It can see through cars. It can literally UAV, just like in modern warfare, in his headset. Yeah. And so, if what they're talking about, like with these conscious plasmas, it literally makes sense that they vibrate, because our eyes are only programmed through, if you want to call it evolution, but just a long time, our eyes are programmed to only see the certain colors that we're allowed to see, and we're only allowed to see them in the Schumann's resonance range. So like if you take a human off of Earth and you put him in space without the Earth's vibrations, the Schumann's resonance, his body will start to, because there's no gravity, there's no vibration to hold him down. So they'll, like, if you try to grow something in a petri dish with no vibration and no sound, and you try to grow something in a petri dish with vibration and sound, those two exact cloned embryos, one will form into what it's supposed to be, and the one without vibration and sound will just bleh. There's nothing to hold it together. So clearly the military can see these conscious plasma beings, as the politician said the other day on a panel in front of the Capitol Hill. Mm-hmm. And we also have clearly at this point the stereotypical alien that can walk. and he says the government knows of 2 more. And then the one dude was arguing like a day or 2 later that there's up to 7, but the government will admit to 4.
Did you see the video of that MH370 disappearing?
Yeah, well, so the problem with that, so the MH370 was full of a bunch of scientists
That were going to defect to China. They had a bunch of yeah, but there's this.
Yeah, but what they did is they.
Why would there be? Here's the thing. Why was there 3 separate U.S. Spy, whatever surveillance equipment, 2 satellites and a drone following this fucking plane? And the guy who leaked that went to prison for leaking it. He's a captain in the Air Force. He went to fucking prison for leaking the information.
Yeah,
and,
essentially the Rothschilds and Serco. The Rothschilds, all of that, Serco specifically, got all of the patents of all of those doctors on that plane.
Yeah. But I mean, that's wild because you see the 3 spheres that everyone keeps seeing, these spheres. You see these 3 spheres going around the plane like this, and then the plane doesn't explode. It just goes and disappears.
Yeah, they probably just vibrationed it into this thing that they're able to do. But you also have the videos of the shrapnel explosions because they just probably blew a bomb up in front of it and it had that shrapnel explosion, and then they crashed and killed them, and they'll take all the scientists so they have their DNA and everything. That's more than likely what happened. They probably didn't teleport it, but
sure,
it's a because
I think they teleported it to Diego.
Well, the teleportation story is more sensational than all of those scientists on that plane with the trillions of dollars in patents in their brains.
I don't know. I mean, clearly the U.S. government has something because they're not worried about all the shit we keep seeing, and they're acting like it's no big deal. And if it wasn't something they were doing, like I remember in the 80s when we were hearing reports about these triangle-shaped, diamond-shaped UFOs and everything. Well, that was the F-117 Blackbird and the fucking B-2 bomber that they were testing, and people were seeing it at night and going, "Oh my God, what is that?" Because that was what it was. And they were saying
on
it
the
was
CIA website. They have the General Electric alien in their documents on their website, or not alien, but their spaceship on their website. So they've admitted to like DynCorp, General Electrics. Who does Skunk Works? What's that company called?
That was Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, Lockheed Martin, all those dudes. They've already admitted that they've given all that responsibility to them. Because, like, I forget what homie said earlier. He's like, politicians leak things, so it's best to just give it to private corporations. Because it was Steven Spielberg said this to Neil deGrasse Tyson. So it's best to give all the alien technology to private corporations because they don't leak. And I thought that was kind of funny.
I think it's interesting too when you think about like how computers just came, like, integrated circuitry, microchips, and all this stuff, and computers, binary, all this stuff came out of nowhere basically in the 50s. And
what about that Turing guy though? The guy that
that was all that was a mechanical. It was completely all mechanical. Turing. It was a bronze goddesses. It was a mechanical computing equipment. I'm saying we had mechanical computers. We had not solid state. We had like diodes, triodes. We had tubes and stuff. But all this other stuff with computers. Why are we not able to build something that doesn't have to be updated constantly because they find a problem? Like someone can't just build it and it fucking work. That's what happens when you reverse engineer shit and you don't understand how it actually works.
Well, 3D printers is alien technology. There's three different versions of 3D technology. One of it's really fascinating. You dip it into literally a pool of plastic, and then you just lift it up, and the whole thing is already printed. The thing will print in the pool of plastic, and then you can lift it out of the plastic, and it will be the thing you want. The thing that they give all the public that's at mass production scale is the leveling thing. It prints just like how they probably made UFOs back in the day on a larger scale, and they would just print layer by layer by layer. And that would explain why you heard all these people back in the day yip and yap about there's not any seals, there's no screws, there's no nothing. Well, that's because they had 3D printing back in the day. And what's also hilarious is one of the, I think it was Roswell or another one, and one of those probably early age railgun technologies that they were mixing with this
Cool as shit.
quasi space technology. But anyway, when that shit crashed in America, it had Velcro in it and all that stuff. And what's hilarious is at that time, because NASA likes to pretend like they invented, I mean, they did, they're Germans, but NASA, the Velcro was really a German technology that was supposedly given to a boy who invented it, and he won some award. You know what I'm saying? But it was really German technology, and they had a certain plastic technology, and this plastic was inside of this crash. And I think probably also has something to do with memory foam beds. Because remember, memory foam beds, that technology came from space shuttle technology for their seats, but it probably really came from the handful of other peoples who were invented Velcro and these cool plastics that we have now, and a 3D printing machine. And now, finally, in 2022, 2021, 2018, whenever 3D printers finally came out, that 40-year window, 80-year window, we finally get our own 3D printers.
Yeah.
But
And now they're trying to put code in them to make it so that you can't print things.
So
it's crazy. It's just wild.
Mm-hmm.
Most people go through life every day. They don't even think about anything around more than just what's happening around them, going to their job, or I got to do this, I got to get money for that, or my kids need this. They don't ever sit back and think about what the fuck has been going on for 4 billion years.
Because this shit doesn't affect the mortgage.
I mean, technically it does, but you would need when
they finally just brought an alien out, it was like, this is an alien. His name is Greg. I still have to pay my mortgage.
Yeah, wouldn't you like to hang out with Greg?
Not really. Would you?
Hang out with aliens?
Nah, I don't want to do no fucking aliens, man.
I don't know. I'm indifferent.
Maybe if they're Green Lanterns.
They could teach me how to count cards at Vegas.
Yeah, Mighty Healthy just said everything runs through DARPA. You know what's funny? About 3 or 4 months ago, Trump absorbed DARPA into the government, and 7 or 8 other institutions that were privatized.
I don't. That's what they gotta understand. Is why Trump is doing a lot of stuff where they're buying pieces of companies. The government is buying pieces. Intel. They bought pieces of everything. They're buying pieces. Why are they buying pieces of everything? What for? What reason?
Space. So the government can be massively on the scale of trillionaire status like no other. Because once a private industry makes it to space, everything has to be decided by Russia, America, and China. And those rules cannot be decided by European royalty and aristocrats and central bankers. They have to be decided by our military, the Chinese military, and the Russian military. That's just, unfortunately, the way it's going to fucking be. And everything is done off 99-year contracts and 999-year contracts. So we're in the age of Aquarius. It's we have 2 millennia, and these next 2 millennia will be ran by the 3 hegemons, and it won't be decided like it was since Jesus's initial death, which is essentially the Western preference of global admiralty law, global trust fund law, global central banking law, global international monetary fund law. All that is European creations. made by royals and aristocrats. And that's why Trump made the Space Force in his first term. Because we're probably been on the moon for at least 40 years now, if we're being honest.
You think?
Conspiratorial. And it's fine because remember these patents that when Julian Assange,
you believe that the moon is a space station?
No, the moon is a real rock with caves and it had volcanoes.
Well, it's hollow.
But it's really not hollow. It's super porous. So it's weight rate. So that's a whole nother argument. But the moon, I think the moon is just a moon. It's just a rock. It's tidal locked. But it's such a porous object.
I don't know. I think somebody brought it here. There's records of ancient tribes in Africa of before there was a moon. And they talk about when it arrived.
We would never have tides.
They talk about that in their like whatever traditions and stuff like that.
And the most ancient traditions going, I think, even back in the Aboriginal-esque cultures in Australia and the pre-Siberian cultures, which ended up becoming like the Peruvians and all that stuff, they've always had an understanding of tides. So the tide mythos has always been, ever since the earliest writings, there's been an acknowledgement of tides. So maybe, but if we didn't have a moon, the Rocky Mountains wouldn't existed the way that they exist today. We wouldn't have the that mountain in Japan, that huge ass volcano. If we didn't have that moon, we would have looked like Mars, and we would have had like a not Vesuvius, but
Mars is waking up.
Well, Mars has no moon, and its landscape is more. You can understand its landscape because if it had a moon, its landscape would have been massively different, like the Earth. So I don't.
It's just odd to me that the moon, like, because scientists can, like, I've heard many scientists claim that they can explain why the moon doesn't exist because scientifically it shouldn't be there.
The reason why Mars died in its Goldilocks zone, because Mars is still technically in the Goldilocks zone, but it has no moon to completely just rough up that crust all the time, and that's why it has that gargantuan volcano on it, and it just kept erupting and erupting and erupting and erupting until the planet died.
Well, they're sensing seismic activity on Mars again.
Because it's still has core.
Well, no, it could have to do with the global current sheet. You know, the global current sheet is changing, so the polarity of the galaxy is changing. It could be why the Earth's magnetic field is weakening, and we're getting to a shift in where the poles are going to be. The anomaly, the South Atlantic anomaly that scientists thought was always there, they're finding out now it wasn't there in the 1800s and 1700s and 1600s. It just appeared in the last 80 years.
What did?
The South Atlantic anomaly, where there's hardly any magnetic field around, like right off of Brazil.
Yeah. Well, the problem with all the data that's been coming out recently, every time CERN is turned on, they click that button on. Because you remember, CERN is the largest of the CERNs. In Terminator 2, you saw, or Terminator, whatever Terminator it was, where you got magnetized to the thing. That's a real CERN that they use, and that's in America. Ferrari has a CERN, Apple has a CERN, all these people have CERNs, and they'll turn them on around the exact same time. And what that does is it pulls in the magnetosphere and allows more harmful radiation and all that to go in. But they do it for studies and everything. So the magnetic anomaly is probably tied to their scientific experiments. It's like that one because you know I've been out having all these scientists die recently. The one dude who was in charge of that giant thing that they're just finishing up, and coincidentally he dies, but he's tied to the one army guy who was in charge of all the aliens and procurement stuff. That telescope is funded by that government thing that has the T shape. So it runs a line this way and it runs a line that way. So it's not really a CERN, but they see the vibrations of other like black holes colliding and everything. It can take the measurements through the thing, through the lenses and the vibration that's at like 0.000 Thank you, Idris. It's like 0.0 insane amount of difference, and that you can pinpoint precisely in the sky where black holes are created, where they're flown when a supernova blows up because it puts these ripples. That company, which is a government company controlled by the Department of Energy, of all these scientists that have been disappearing, he was in charge of the facility that's being made right now. And that facility, its 10-year goal is to focus on one point in the sky for the next 10 years. And it's a very interesting place that we keep looking at. And Australia and all these other governments are building the exact type of facility to look in the exact same area that we are looking in this small portion of the sky.
Why?
One of the scientists who disappeared, he was making the technology of microchips and computer boards and all that can sustain extreme vibrations through atmospheric travel. It's insane. It's insane what he was doing. There was a Chinese lady who's the Chinese have. So America is losing all these people who have crazy patents, and the Chinese are losing all these people who have crazy patents. The one Chinese lady who's tied to all these groups of people who are doing all this stuff for the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and everything, she was in charge of making things that are biological, that are resistant to force. And she also had other patents that were biological entities that would absorb and change their RNA data to adjust. So she was making things that were resistant. At the same time, she was making things that were adjustable. And then you had the other scientist. One of the scientists, he was essentially a procurement officer for the Army. So his job was a warehouse manager. He's gone. But he was a procurement master. Another two individuals that work for the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, they also work for NASA. They also work for the Army. They also work for the NSA. They also work for DARPA, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Their specific patents were patents on exoplanets with atmospheres. You have another scientist who is really an AC manufacturer, procurer. He had super duper clearance where he would install AC units and stuff like that in underground facilities and the hard water facilities that we have all under the ground, where we like if you were to fall in this water, your body would die instantly because the water would like suck everything out of you, like these crazy waters we have. He was in charge of putting AC units in these facilities. He's disappeared, and he worked for Jet Propulsion Laboratory. You have that female lady from Huntsville, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA, and everything. She was she did something special. It was kind of interesting, and it kind of related to the guys who did something about the exo-atmospheric planets with atmospheres. And then you have the main guy who's been around for the last 50, 60 years, who is the highest ranked missing officer, whose wife made a weird joke about him disappearing like it was nothing. He was like head penis. He had all the fucking things on his chest. And he was in charge of programs. So he ran programs. So just put all that together.
Well, something's happening, man. I mean, that's the thing. Something is going on. They clearly, the government's up to something. They're aware of it. They're building a new big bunker under the White House. That's what the whole ballroom is all about. It's not about the ballroom. It's about what's underneath the ballroom.
Yeah, 6 floors of Space Force is what's under there.
And then they have like all these rich, billionaires are building giant bunker complexes all over the place. They decided to put, basically a DNA reservoir repository in Greenland that's supposed to track like basically an arc to repopulate. Like, what happens when the magnetic field of the Earth gets to a point where so much radiation is coming in that it starts altering our DNA?
CERN has said they are turning off their machine until right before Jesus's 2,000-year anniversary. Technically, he died in 2030, but everyone wants to say he died in 2033. So you have that 3-year window of when he maybe died. And so CERN is going to turn the machine on right at Jesus's 2,000-year anniversary because they're upgrading the motherfucking shit out of it. And the one guy who runs CERN, he has really goofy teeth, probably paints his nails black, I'm sure.
Well, they you know that they were doing satanic rituals at CERN, right?
What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they caught him. Yeah, it's not, and they said it was a joke. It wasn't a.
No, it's not a joke. They worship Shiva, the goddess of war and death. But the guy who basically runs the CERN facility now, he's like the George Soros, the guy that talks to people. Not really important, but he's like, if we open a portal, it'll only be for like a minuscule amount of time, and then he just started talking like it was nothing. So they know they're open portal. If you do certain physics and you add certain weight in a split second of time, because you can make weight out of nothing, just like data on your hard drive. If you deleted all the data in the world from every hard drive on the planet, it would actually reduce the mass on the planet by an insignificant scale, but it still exists. So if they know how to do that they're doing magic. They're doing magic.
Because a lot of people think
they're like reducing shit. They're like reducing the size of the data.
Yeah. So I was using that as an example. So when you're slamming particles into each other, they have a certain weight, but when you slammed them into each other, there's more weight.
Weren't they able to actually transmute lead into gold at CERN?
I think that's a supernova math question there.
Like, because I know I read a story. They said they couldn't do lots of amounts. It was like tiny, minuscule amounts. They were able to create gold out of lead, like tiny, like
the amount of. That's a lot. That's a huge math equation, and that is, as far as I know, maybe they're doing it, but so if you take the size of our sun,
jeez,
you need what is it, like 100,000 Earths or 10,000 Earths to equal the mass of the sun. A supernova is so exponentially larger than our size of the sun. The type of math that would need to make gold, that's a crazy math. So I don't think it's possible to make gold.
So what do you think? You're trying to make an Einstein-Rosen bridge with CERN?
Well, the dude already said they're opening portals, but they're only for less than a blink of an eye. But really what they want to do is they want to add, so, on the periodic table of elements, there's all these missing numbers because that's the weight of an element. So each number is essentially the weight of the element. And the missing numbers don't exist in our solar system, but they exist elsewhere. And we don't know what the fuck they are. But what we've been able to do because of CERN and all these particle colliders that the military has and Ferrari has, you can make new particles like Einsteinium and all these crazy new particles.
Adamantium and what's it called? Unobtainium and
shit. There are real elements that they're not telling us about because when they make them, they're locked under key, and we won't know the elements because of privacy matters. Especially if you're a private corporation that made these elements, until 20 to 80 years later. Usually it's 20 years like medicine, but if it's like a national security thing where the government takes over it, unfortunately you're locked out for another, until at least 60, 80 years. You know what I mean? They add a huge, plasma. Plasma is the fourth version, of water, a solid, a vapor, and plasma. And three of us, when we were growing up, plasma was actually categorized under national security. So it existed
Really?
the entire time. Yeah. So the only reason why we're allowed to know about plasma is because it's not a national security issue anymore. Governments are publicly da 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 da. But
Plasmas would explain how they were able to create some things long time ago. If they had some kind of plasma, some way to create plasma or use plasma in building like the pyramids, and when you see like the things where it looks like they just scooped stone out, like you seen
Is
that?
that like geopolymers though, where they're like turning stone into fucking like goo?
So there's
Is that plasma? Is that something different?
Ancient South American tradition where they have certain plants in South America where it's said in their tradition that they can grind and mortar, pestle and mortar it out. Just like I was talking about the shit with the crazy people making alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the stuff. That is their ancient oral tradition of how they shaped the stones. What it probably was is you had stone master masons back in the day who were really good at math, and they knew grinding and cutting stones very, very well. And
I don't buy though the whole thing that they claim that they just use sand and like a copper tube to cut holes and stuff.
They knew
bullshit.
What it was is they probably knew, because like concrete mafia runs the world. That's why they're building all the bunkers, because they're panicking all the rich people so they can buy all this money on concrete and rebar. Hey, the world's going to end. Build a fucking thing.
Now, is it true that they lost the recipe for actual Roman concrete? They don't really know how it was made.
So ancient Roman concrete is not
still
allowed.
It's like you can't. It's still like it's brand new. Like it never fucking nothing. And they didn't have to use rebar or nothing in it. They didn't have any.
There's technically been like 3 versions of concrete mafia's power, and their original concrete mixture, which is actually known today, but no one will use it. They know the mixture. They will not use it because all the new concrete has like blood in it, like human blood and animal blood. That's why when you have all these new buildings, when all the concrete and the bricks start seeping, and they have to come back after like a couple months and pressure wash a brand new building. The old bricks back in the day didn't do that. It's because they're using blood coagulates in their bricks and stuff now. Especially like animal blood, specifically Saudi Arabia probably got a little bit of human blood in it. And human blood makes great concrete coagulants. And then you had that second version of the Roman concrete stuff, which was super esoteric, like I was saying. And then we had the finalized form that we've been using for like maybe like 200, 300 years ish, whenever the horse and carriage started to go to the wayside. And then after that, you had other mafias. They created like asphalt and all that stuff. So like that's when the asphalt started coming around, and that's why you have all these European countries controlling the asphalt machines. Like they're all Swedish and shit.
Wow.
Yeah, but so like in Gaza, there's an area called the Hill of Ash. And this is the 4th or 5th iteration that the Gaza region in recent memories has gone through the Hill of Ash period. So it's up to Netanyahu, who's an extreme Zionist, to completely level Gaza so it's a Hill of Ash again, so it can be reborn.
Is he alive now, or is he back?
And Gaza owns the tiniest, because there's a lot of mafia lords who still control Gaza, because even though they're Satanists like a motherfucker, they still somehow deal with each other in a contract language. So where you sign on the dotted line, supposedly that makes Satan happy.
Dude, you know the oldest record of any writing that that cuneiform tablet that's like, I don't know, 10,000 years old that they found. It's like a clay cuneiform thing. It's actually a guy complaining about the quality of copper he bought.
Yeah, most of all the early cuneiform stuff is a lot of people bitching and complaining.
Yeah.
You're not going to see the cool shit because Alexander the Great and all that, he came by and stole everything out of out of the libraries, whatever they were called at the time. They were
Yeah,
Library of
I do
Alexandria.
remember that. We went and saw some of that conifer stuff at a museum, and it was just like
now, man.
it was like bullshit, boring documents. Like, this person owes me this much wheat because I paid him this much money. It was like, y'all are some fucking nerds, man.
Uniform and the ox blood traditions and all that stuff. All that was stolen by. I say Alexander, but it might have been Cyprus the Great, Sirius the Great, whatever his stupid name is. It's one of those two idiots. They stole everything from all of the.
What do you think about the Anunnaki?
They kept records, I guess is what you call them.
What do you think about the Anunnaki?
You talking about like Babylon and all that stuff?
Oh, I'm talking about the aliens that came to seed the planet and created humans to mine gold because they needed it to restore their atmosphere on their planet.
It's a tale. It's a fucking yarn for sure. I don't know how true it is.
I don't know how true it is either. I think it's funny, but you think about it.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's definitely interesting, but it's like you couldn't get gold anywhere else in the galaxy. Like, we're the only, like, I don't know. I guess it's
well, because
you're like overlaying like human needs and wants, you know?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on people say they came here 250,000 years ago and they basically did something. I don't know. There's weird stories. I don't know. It's probably all bullshit, but they did find a gold mine in Africa that dates to like 45,000 years ago. Like they know that it was dug. That's how long it was dug. So why the fuck would anybody 45,000 years ago been digging up gold? Because it was shiny? What purpose? What was the purpose of it? I mean, really, for the longest time, all we did was we knew gold. We liked gold because it was shiny and it didn't tarnish and you could make stuff in it and stuff. But I mean, it didn't have a purpose. And now gold is the basically perfect for shielding from cosmic rays and stuff like that.
What was the deal with the? I'm agreeing with you, and then I'm going to add on to it with those underground cities that those people were making. Like, why were those people making these like massive, like 1,000
hide from something, more than likely hide from. I mean, they have cave paintings of people where they were using this. It's called like red ochre or something, where that's what you would put on you to protect yourself from radiation from the sun. And like the drawings of like the stick figures, they're like plasmoid figures, like what you would see if plasma was hitting the earth, hitting the atmosphere.
And now they're talking about there's plasmoid aliens, and you're saying that they were like,
it's possible that was all.
Sorry, I missed it. We're
talking about, how they got like they found the stuff with like the red ochre, where people were using red ochre to cover themselves. To protect themselves from radiation, basically, and that people were building underground caves to get away from the radiation because.
Well, so the red ochre thing is pre-agrarianism, and it goes back to the oldest of traditions. So, society for all of mankind. If you can create a gang, you can create slaves. So, like in Egypt specifically, just to give an example. Lice was insane in Egypt. Everyone had horrible teeth, bad diets and everything. And when they would go out and farm, and when they were, let's just say, for example, making the Sphinx or whatever, they would cover their entire body with clay to not be beat down by the sun and die of like heat stroke and shit like that, because the clay would give you a couple more hours to live. And then people ended up dying in their clay as they build these things throughout history. And that becomes a burial tradition. It goes back before the pyramids, but the red covering
the red
yourself,
ochre stuff is in America.
Well, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. Jim, you can probably buy this book, and it's a $200 book. But it's Death Rituals, Social Order, and the Archaeology of Immortality of the Ancient World. It's like 18 or 20 essays. It's not a book, but they're essays. But Red Ochre, another good book, is Militarism and the Indo-Europeanizing of Europe. It goes over a little bit of Red Ochre burial traditions, but not a lot. But it's in here. And then you also have by David Anthony, The Horse, the Wheel, and Language. Now, the book is slightly outdated because like haplogroups and all that have been updated. But he's pretty much spot on in this book. It's just unfortunately, this book was written before DNA really. But anyway, red ochre people are buried in here, specifically if you're a part of sheep domestication, horse domestication. Because remember, the only reason why us white people are lactose tolerant today is because our ancestors drank horse milk. And then that lactose tolerance translated with agriculturalism, agrarianism, I guess you can call it.
I thought it was goat milk.
Through cows and sheep and goats. But the trait came from horses first. But underlying thing about, especially...
what about, I mean, because think about the people with the red ochre, they were painting things on the walls that look like plasmoids, you know, that they could create in a lab. If you create a plasmoid, like when, say, like some plasma from the sun was to hit the planet, like a blob of plasma, it would create these things. You know, like last year we had that Aurora Borealis that was seen all the way down to Puerto Rico, the Northern Lights.
The reason why we saw that is because they probably had a bunch of cerns on and they were sucking the fucking magnetosphere into the earth again.
I mean, well, they know the magnetic field is weakening, and it does it like periodically. They think either every 6,000, every 12,000 years, or something like that.
So in India, you have an ancient cave, and that cave has 3 stalagmites, and each one of them, 2 of them have their highest height, but they're exactly the same. And on the 3rd stalagmite or height, whatever you call it, it's half the height of the other 2. And the reason why those drips changed is more than likely because of the Earth's magnetic shift pole change, and maybe a little bit of tectonic plate stuff, but more than likely it was magnetic. And it's one of the most holiest of holy to these Indian pre-Hindu people, like, because there's people who have religions in these areas that are pre-Hindu religions, like true.
What do you think about that whole, like, what they call the Indian, what's it called, the Baba Raga or whatever, where they say that
before written or oral stuff became written.
Yeah, but that there was like all these war, like there was basically a nuclear war between these powers with spaceships and
shit.
No.
The Vamaramas.
Yeah, whatever.
Stuff.
Vamaraga or something. Yeah, where it's like this whole thing, and that's where they come up.
Yeah, man. I had a guy on my stream one time, like talking that shit. Like, yeah, we used to have flying machines, and we used to have this, that, and it was like, and you guys used it on each other, and then they blasted themselves back to,
I believe most of their
age. I don't believe in it.
All right, so like in the Bible, in the Old Testament, and in the New Testament, you have certain portions of the book where you have these street prophets. We're talking about the end days and stuff like that. And one of the end days periods of this prophet that was in this area, he was in northern Iraq. And in that area at that time, you had massive volcano stuff going on. Massive volcano issues, because Iraq actually has volcanoes still. And so I think a lot of their stories come from like seeing when Crete, like the people that were on the northern on the southern portion of the Mediterranean, when they saw Mount Vesuvius erupt, they could, I could only imagine what they were thinking. And then you also have the areas, and which is north of the Dead Sea, where you have these the sediment particles that are still falling out of the sand today, and that only comes from volcanoes. And people are aligning that burning of that area of Abraham. Not Abraham. It's northern.
You're talking about Sodom and Gomorrah type of thing.
Yeah. And they've proven that story is true, which is true because of the land sediment areas. You can date that gap where all of those volcano particles are in the sand. So Sodom and Gomorrah was a volcano event.
Okay. I mean, because if you look at like the west coast of Africa, all right, and you look at it basically some type of water washed over basically the whole northern part of Africa from like Egypt all the way across, like rushed everything out. Like you could see for hundreds of miles into the ocean, you can see everything how it collapsed in, and you can see where the water, you can see it, you can see where everything went. Like
when your water goes down on a fish tank, that slime, that color it leaves.
Yeah.
Inside of the pyramids in Egypt, there is that slime residue of salt inside of those tunnels. So imagine the tsunami that had to hit that portion of Egypt. It probably happened when that water dam broke that I was telling you about, that happened in Portugal and Morocco, and it started filling that motherfucking Mediterranean Sea back up with ocean water. Because remember, the Mediterranean was fresh water for the longest time. And then that flood came in and filled up the Mediterranean, and the Black Sea, the Pontus Sea, aka Black Sea, was fresh water as well. And that thing between Constantinople and that land bridge right there in Turkey, that dam broke and flooded the Black Sea with ocean water, and it was no longer fresh water. So during that period, that had to been when the flood had to been insane enough to be that high to fill certain chambers of these pyramids in Egypt. Because you remember the Sphinx, when it was made, the water came right up to the Sphinx. The Gaza River. Is it the Gaza River?
No, it's called the
Nile.
Nile River.
The Nile used to cut right in front of the Sphinx. That's why it has all the water erosion around it.
Well, a lot of people think it's from the rain. It is.
When
it was rainy season.
That area was the basin area, because the Sphinx was the port. That whole area in front of the Sphinx and everything. And the pharaohs used to take a little boat in a little man-made canal from that area to take to the pyramids. And that thing where the little canal, that mini canal, exists today.
Yeah. Did you hear anything about them supposedly finding a second Sphinx?
There probably was a couple Sphinxes around. One of the oldest, because you remember the people who made the pyramids and the ancient temples, they didn't carve anything. They didn't put.
No, that came later. They put that shit on later.
Yeah, because remember, to them, the culture that made the pyramids and the ancient temples, the temples that are faced the proper way, when the sun comes up, and then we got hit by the asteroid, and now our planet is off tilted, and that's why the doorways of all the new temples face the sun, but all the ancient facilities face the sun the way they used to be. Mm-hmm. Remember, back in the day, when the sun would come down and the night sky would come up, the Big Dipper would come up on the horizon. It came up on the horizon, and remember, the Big Dipper, the overarching portion of that star system is like a fox or a horse or something. I forget what it is. It's a lion, a fox, or a horse, or whatever the hell the true Big Dipper thing is. And they used to come up on the horizon. And then when the stars were aligned, the Giza, because you know how if you put the Cyrus's belt,
Orion's belt,
Orion's belt used to come up horizontally, so the peaks of the pyramid, the stars would come out of the peak as the sky, and then of course it would like go this way a little bit, but they would come out of those peaks. But that's where, bro, it's fascinating shit, and all this stuff is coming out, and it's been coming out the last 5 years, 6 years, and it's everything has to be rewritten of what we've.
Yeah, but there's a lot of places are trying to stop it. Like that's why what's that guy Mahdi Nawaz in Egypt who won't let them dig around the Sphinx because they know that there's. Did he get fired? Did he?
They ran him out.
Really?
After he went on Joe Rogan and started talking like a retard, apparently they let his ass go.
Because like they know there's something under there, and that might be where there's something. There might be a library or something down there.
It's for royals and aristocrats. It's not for us. It's not for us. That's where they eat children and barbecue rib children. You know, we don't get to go to those areas. We only get to speculate about them. Now, if you're Napoleon, a Seine River merchant mafia family, and somehow you take over the monarchy of France under the guise of the fucking Vatican, then you get to go down there and sleep down there, probably in a giant bath of fucking human blood of countless children.
Jeez.
And you get to come up, and now you're fucking Emperor of France.
Then they throw you on an island, right?
I don't think he ever went to that island.
Epstein Island?
No.
Did he go there with Liam?
Napoleon, when he was besmirched and released of his Hitler duties, because he had the same duty Hitler had. They all do the same thing. Ever since Pharaoh, they all do the same goofy thing. He probably went to like somewhere beautiful, you know what I mean? But they like to say his life ended with ulcers on a shitty island in a shitty house. I guarantee you, he did not go through that. After what he did, just like Hitler. Hitler got to leave and go to Argentina. The CIA has admitted to it. They knew he was there. They were keeping an eye on him. As long as he didn't leave, he was good to go. And I guarantee you the same thing happened to Napoleon.
So what's in the chemtrails?
Your vape. That vape you were just hitting?
Yeah.
That's the machine that they use to do chemtrails. That patent that you just hit is now public patents.
Well,
now pick up your vape pen.
No, I know, but they're spraying some kind of
turn it
chemical.
sideways. Now pick up your vape pen, turn it sideways. That's what they would put in the plane wings.
Well, I've seen pictures of the planes with the giant tanks in them, these huge tanks and the spray systems and stuff. And like it's come out, like you could go to like EPA government websites and they'll talk about the stuff that they did in the 50s and 60s where they were spraying the shit and it was going into Canada and doing stuff and they were monitoring different things. And like right now, they only admit that they're just testing.
You know what chafe is?
What? Like you're talking about
military
the
chafe?
Yeah.
Military chafe?
Yeah.
Well, the glitter's going.
It makes storms. Regular chafe makes storms. There are public companies in America today, you can search them, where they do chemical geoengineering.
What they're doing is they're taking the every coal-fired like electricity plant, they have what's called like where they trap what's called coal fly ash to keep, because that was used to be the black smoke. They trap it in there. Well, I'm saying they collect it, and what they're doing with it is they're taking it and spraying it in the upper atmosphere to try and make the planet cooler.
Yeah, well, the planet's going to get cooler no matter. The more trees that bloom every year on America, it's just going to get cooler. The more and more plants we have, because we're still in an ice age, right?
No, I know.
Right now,
that's a lot of people don't realize. They keep talking about climate change. Motherfucker, we're coming out of an ice age. It's
we are in an ice age right now.
Yeah.
When the Romans lived and they were doing all their shenanigans on their horseback, on average, it was 10 to 20 degrees higher in temperature when they lived. So could you imagine?
That's why they're all like buck naked wearing robes and shit.
That's why they're always naked, and they always had swamp ass from riding the horses. But back in the day, temperatures were massively higher than they are right now. The whole thing, because Bill Gates.
The thing about CO2 thing is all bullshit, because if they
trees drink CO2.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The more CO2, the greener the planet gets. The greener the planet gets, the more more oxygen it produces. Like the whole thing. If you think about how was there these giant megafauna all around the planet, and then they disappeared. Like, was there giants? How would there be giants? There had to been an atmosphere that would sustain the larger bodies. You know what I mean? It would have to be more oxygen for your lungs to take in. You wouldn't, to be able to breathe in. It'd have to be higher oxygen concentration.
Yeah, if you clone a dinosaur today,
it would die immediately.
It would die because our oxygen content is lower. I think it's like 1%. Maybe it's 10%. A ludicrously small amount of oxygen increase.
Thank God. Then we don't have like giant ass fucking.
That's why when a whale is beached, their insides rip and they die. So as soon as a whale is beached, there's pretty much nothing you can do. A dolphin, little whales, you can help them because their insides don't weigh that much yet. They still are heavy, but they don't rip off their internals. But if you take a whale and put him on the ocean floor, his internals will basically just rip, or to the beach shore, will rip and just fall down because of gravity. But yeah, dinosaurs can't exist. I mean, you can make mammoths and all that. I think there's a certain weight ratio. There's some math that you can have the massive amount of object. But in terms of giants living, it's already proven that giants lived because you have 7 and 8 foot tall skeletons.
Yeah.
So
they had bigger ones. The Smithsonian got rid of them. They dumped them all in the river. They know this.
Yeah, those were probably genetic anomalies. I would not be surprised if there were maybe a few genetic, because like our speech.
Well, the American Indians have the whole thing about the redheaded giants that were in the caves and they had to go. It was, basically that would eat people.
Yeah, they were probably like 7, 8 foot tall retards. That's probably what they were.
Bone tomahawk and shit.
I guarantee you the Denisovans probably did a little powwow with them too. But you have some of the most ancient genetic DNA history, like even going back pre-Amniah and all that stuff. So this is 8,000 to 4,000 BCE. All those steppe herd men that we see today in like Tajikistan and all that stuff, they're giant fucking big burly dudes. If you look at pictures back in India from like the early pictures from the 1800s, you have those giant men with the monk knuckles on and stuff like that standing next to regular Englishmen, and they're like literally almost 3 feet taller. They're like 8 foot fucking tall. Those are the giants. And their genetic traits still exist today, but it's in such a small number. So like us being able to talk is a genetic defect. Us being able to drink milk is a genetic defect. Blue eyes, red hair, they're all genetic defects, and they will actually go extinct. So redheads, yeah, there will be a time where the only thing left are brown-eyed people, because brown eye and brown hair are genetic mutations, but they are extremely strong. In in less than 20 to 30,000 years, there will not be a single redhead in existence. And the same thing will happen to blue-eyed people. And
what about people named Jim?
Possible. Probably be gone.
Anyone with light hair, with genetic light hair, that is a mutation that will die off and won't exist anymore.
Do you think the gingers of the world will be gone too by then?
Just the ones in Australia.
In 20 to 30,000 years.
Okay, guys. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, but like my youngest daughter, she's lactose intolerant. So she actually has an ancient gene in her. And then the rest of us, we're all lactose tolerant. So we can drink milk. That is a far much newer gene than I think it's not even like 50,000 years old, I don't think.
I think a lot of stuff we're doing too are fucking with us, like the chemicals we're putting in the food, and they keep telling us change what we eat. Like just the study just came out saying like, oh no, you need to eat eggs every day, and you need to eat the yolk every day because your brain is fucking cholesterol, and you need that cholesterol, otherwise you're going to get Alzheimer's disease, and now all these statin drugs and different things that lower cholesterol. It's quite possible that's why we have this massive increase in brain issues, because we're fucking with our brain chemistry. Your brain is cholesterol. You need cholesterol.
It is what holds the tubes, where the things you see with your eyes, smell with your nose, and feel with your fingers, that's where it's stored. And that's why they did studies, because this one guy, I forget his name, he would take portions of the mice's brain out and then put them back into the mouse maze. And the mouse, no matter what, and no matter how much brain augmentation they did to them, they would always figure out where the treat was.
Okay, treat, yeah.
Yeah. So no matter in your brain what you take out of a rat, they still have a sense of, there's still tubes in that part of their brain that they can access through their nervous system, through feeling, touching, smelling, seeing things, that they're able to gather that information back. And so That's why, like Finn was talking about the other day, everyone's on these cholesterol medicines to lower their cholesterol, and Alzheimer's is increasing like never before. Alzheimer's is technically a new thing. A brain decay is technically a new thing. Traditionally, not even 100 something years ago, before Big Pharma started taking over everything, people who lived into their old age, that whole memory loss thing was unheard of. Kind of like back in the day when our parents were growing up, cancer really wasn't such a thing. And now cancer is such a huge deal. It's the same thing. Hypertension, cholesterol withdrawal, vitamin D12 withdrawal. Whoa, shit.
Wow, that's the aliens coming to get you.
Smack my elbow. Zinc withdrawal.
A lot of stuff I think with the cancers has to do with we're creating a bunch of magnetic fields that we're walking around in all the time, and so it's disrupting our cells. Like high power tension lines, all these things. Like, oh, there's no correlation between these clusters of tumors around these high power tension lines, or we're basically surrounding ourselves now. We're bouncing, Wi-Fi signals and all the shit, cell phones and Bluetooth and all the shit that we're surrounding ourselves with. We don't know what the fuck it's doing.
Yeah.
Like
it can mess up
there's something they did a study, like the changes in the bones in your hand since we've developed the cell phone to hold the phone, like the changes, the shape of people's hands are changing.
There's this crazy religious dude. He thinks Earth is only 12,000 years old. He's retarded like Mike S. Miller, but he also says some really smart stuff.
You're talking about Billy Carson?
One of his studies, he was explaining color differentiation and color derivation in mixed families and all that stuff. And he was like, bro, in the TLDR, he's like, bro, it takes like 3 generations, maybe 4, to completely wipe out what that differentiation is. So if you have like mixed parents, within like that 3rd or 4th generation, if you don't have any more black dads or whatever, you're back to normal. Technically, you're really not, because you have genetic faults. But
like the Mark of Cain.
So they know it only takes 3 to 4 generations to change something. So imagine if you're a nefarious motherfucker. Imagine what you could do with cancer or Alzheimer's and stuff like that, which is coincidentally how long medicine gets copyrighted.
Very interesting.
So like in the military, they like to do like 10-year projects. I think these big pharma dudes, these big corporations, they like to extend their playing to get maximized cost and maximize profits. That's why like a drug will go from a powder form to a liquid form, and then like it'll go back to a solid form. It'll have a different chemical in it that makes it so maybe you can't crush it, or maybe you can't mix it with other drugs or whatever, but it will just change their patent just enough so they get a whole another 10 years on it.
I saw a channel where the guy was like a pharmacist or like a professional chemist, and he was like going to gas stations and like buying like bullshit pills at the front and then having them chemically tested to see what they're really made of and stuff. It's kind of interesting.
They're probably all garbage.
Yeah, it's all like total garbage. It's all like absolutely unsafe for you, but it's kind of interesting. That because it's like they'll make something in a lab in China, they'll put it out, it'll become illegal, and then they'll just go in and like tweak the formula just a little bit, and it's suddenly a different chemical, and they're able to like sell it again.
Yeah, apparently there's a new drug that's out now that's already probably going to take over that fentanyl thing.
Yeah, I think I saw something. It's supposedly like 40 times stronger than fentanyl or something like that. It's called like Kronk or something. I don't-
They're trying. They're clearly trying. Like IG Farben, aka Bear, and all those dudes. They have totally figured out something with these wavelengths in medicine, and I think that's one of their most coveted esoteric traits about these pharmaceutical companies. Like I was explaining the other day about Jacob's Ladder, the movie. That movie was basically about the army ODing their own soldiers on high doses of Benadryl.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's dying, because remember he gets stabbed and his partner stabs him in the gut with a bayonet. But as he's dying, you don't know that he's tripping balls, but you're supposed to know that he's tripping balls. But his experience as you see him, you're experiencing what he sees as he's dying, tripping on Benadryl, like aerosol Benadryl. And it's saying, like, so the helicopter would fly above them and they would just release the aerosol onto them and they all start flipping out. And apparently Benadryl has one of the absolute worst trips. Because you see the Hat Man in every culture. The Hat Man has a different hat depending on their culture.
Hat Man.
And then you can see the Hat Man when you're not eating and you're not drinking, and you're going on like a spiritual
Vision quest.
Yeah, a vision quest, spiritual trip. You don't eat and drink. You see things in shadows. You see weird things. I think that's part of that.
Like scorpions?
No scorpions. There's something going on with DMT right now too. Apparently, and because the DMT takes you to a different realm than like Benadryl or mescaline or any of that stuff.
You think those machine elves are real?
Well, apparently the doors are shut now. So apparently these people who
The doors are shut and no one can pass. And all it takes, that's like from Lord of the Rings. The doors are shut. Only the dead can make it.
Isn't that weird?
That's really weird.
I think they can vibrationally control some of this stuff.
You have to tell them. You have to say the Elvish word for friend to get in.
I don't know. Apparently none of that stuff. And then you have the True Serum, which is you learn in the book A Terrible Mistake by Abarelli. A terrible mistake, the death of Frank Olson.
Oh my god!
Was that the guy who
is getting late as fuck? Look at that gun! Don't look at that gun.
Is that the guy who got you flown out the window or whatever?
Yeah, he got thrown out the window.
They settled. They gave the family a bunch of money. And what else is trippy is his son is Ted Olson, who was Bush's Solicitor General when 9/11 happened, whose wife got killed on one of the planes allegedly.
Yeah, and then like his brother or his cousin or someone else was a Skull and Bones too, and they're the ones who ran the 9/11 Commission. And behind the scenes, that's when Rothschild put Jeffrey Epstein on the secret 9/11 Commission that was being managed by Ghislaine Maxwell. Yeah, but what's funny?
Where is Jeffrey Epstein now?
We have the Smith Modernization Act.
Yeah.
So this book opens up. Let me get out the prologue real quick. Let me show you So this is Carl Munt. So Carl Munt created the Smith-Munt Act, and Obama created the Smith-Munt Modernization Act.
Which says the government can propagandize us.
Yeah, and so this is what Carl Munt of the Smith-Munt Act wrote about Frank Olson. We'll name them as they jump out of windows. Right. And that's by Carl Munt while he was a U.S. representative in 1948. And this book goes over.
We'll name them as we throw them out.
Yeah. So as they're like, you never want a road or a sidewalk named after you because that means the government basically killed you.
Okay.
So that's like what Carl Munt was alluding to. We'll name them as they hit the pavement.
Damn.
Yeah. And which means like you're nobody. You mean nothing. You're lucky if you get a road named after you.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. The government, like they did, like you were talking about them spraying stuff. You ever heard of Operation Sea Spray?
Yeah, you learn about that stuff in here.
All right, yeah. Where they sprayed it wasn't anthrax. It was something they wanted to see what would happen when anthrax, but it wasn't anthrax. It was something else. They sprayed it and basically poisoned the entire city of Oakland or something like that.
Yeah, there's a story in here in A Terrible Mistake where they spray San Francisco in the fog. So anytime the heavy fogs roll in, they'll use that vape machine you have to.
Hey, I don't have the vape machine. What are you talking about? What?
That's what that is. What that is.
No, this is my communicator with the aliens.
In the movie Watchmen.
Yes.
When they get the cancer and they're in the AC vent and has the aerosol spraying the cancer on the people. That's what they use. That scene was probably taken out in an event that happened in Georgetown University Medical Unit. And the Georgetown University Medical Unit was Operations Strategic Services, aka Army CIA, creating a medical wing in Georgetown University for like $3 million. Cool. Michael Cronenberg, the director.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So Michael Cronenberg was going to the colleges that the central bankers were using to do their MK Ultra, MK Often, MK Monarch, MK Your Mother, all this stupid shit. And MK Cronenberg actually did one of his short movies he got to shoot it in the college, and it was funded by the Canadian College Arts University, which is essentially the CIA of Canada. He got to shoot one of his trippy fucking films in there. And if you remember his movie Shiver or whatever it was, where they're in the hotel and everyone is tripping balls because there's a parasite getting in them.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, remember, and they turn into sex freaks and they start killing each other and sex rages and stuff. Remember that movie?
I don't think I've seen it, dude. Shit.
Yeah. So what that movie really is, it's the Canadian and the American CIA using chemicals on people inside of hotel rooms, like prostitutes and johns.
Oh, that's Midnight Climax.
And they would watch and study.
Yeah, that's Operation Midnight Climax. That actually happened.
So on one floor would be like one set of drugs, and it would be this dose, this plus dose, this plus dose, this plus dose. On the next floor, it would be Benadryl. On the next floor, it would be True Serum, which is extremely high doses of THC and LSD. That's all True Serum is. You actually have.
They know Midnight Climax happened. It happened in the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco in the 60s, right when
That's the American version.
Right when
was Canadian.
Jolly West ran it, and it was basically what Charles Manson was subjected to it, along with Whitey Bulger.
Yeah, they probably did the same thing they did to Puff Daddy. They did to Charles Manson.
And then, but yeah, they know that it's a fact. They did it, and they used prostitutes and men, and they had two-way or whatever one-way glass mirrors or whatever they call it, and they were standing behind her watching them as they dozed. I mean, this is the government fucking did this, man, and the government was behind the entire drug craze that happened because they wanted to delegitimize the anti-war movement. The guy who was in charge of that was Jim Morrison's fucking father. He was an admiral in the Navy in naval intelligence. He was the guy behind the Gulf of Tonkin incident. Was Jim Morrison's dad. The Doors, the entire creation of the Doors was to subvert the fucking peace movement.
Yeah, and then Charles Manson, he was essentially like Puff Daddy and R. Kelly. He was probably used as a human altar where they would do their stuff on top of him as he's a kid.
Jeez.
And a lot of Jamaican witchcraft is in there, especially with Puff Daddy's mom. She's all into that, turning my son who's gay into a straight boy. So I'm gonna show him with my own vagina. And so that's what Charles Manson went through. And Joe Rogan's mother and father were also a part of that same group.
He talks about that briefly. That he was in, like, he grew up, started off in a commune, and then they left and got out of there. Like,
they never left. They never left.
They never left.
Old Joe Rogan, and that's Fort Huachuca. Fort Huatua. You know, Erica Kirk's mom worked at Fort Huachuca.
I don't know much about Erica Kirk at all.
Isn't it weird that JD Vance?
She's kind of creepy.
All he knows is that he faps to her.
No, I don't.
Isn't it weird that JD Kirk or JD Vance and Erica Kirk look alike? Isn't that a little weird?
JD Vance and Erica.
You know, Anton.
Are they related, or are they just like Polish blockheads and they just?
You remember that army guy with the eyebrows, the Al
yeah.
People and all that? That's tied to Manson and Joe Rogan. Remember Joe Rogan used to hang out with a vase, Satanic Son, the bald guy. He used to wear the pentagrams and all that stuff with the black. Because remember, black fingernail polish, like certain fingers painted, means you are down with certain types of sex magic.
What about Aleister Crowley?
Yeah, Crowley. Yeah. George Bush's wife's father, the man who was known as Barbara Bush. Yeah,
I thought she was from the Prescott family.
She's not a Prescott. Well, Prescott is the male line.
Okay.
Prescott is the German line. Prescott Bush is the one who killed Donald Trump's father's friend, Nikola Tesla. And it was the Bushes who stole all of Tesla's patents, and the Trump family has all of the rest of Tesla's patents. This is like, because remember, Trump is plus ultra. He's a super. He is a don of a German Scottish mafia.
What about those books about Trump, this guy, and the Baron Trump that are from the 1800s? Is that trippy? About how the Baron Trump and
they prophesize people like Jesus and Mussolini and Hitler. They pick them.
You ever notice sometimes when Trump talks and he does the same mannerisms, he looks just like Mussolini? Some of the stuff he does, where he's like going like this and he's talking and he does stuff. It's really freaky sometimes.
Trump's father is a Drump, and the Drumps were a textile family and a wine family, and the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas and the Hessians and all those dudes, when they were making the Germany borders that we know today, they stole all of Trump's father's shit. And they tried to make him join the military, and he's like, "Fuck you!" And he fled to the United Kingdom because he didn't want to get put in World War I, and he get killed. And then because in this time, Germany was killing all the Germans and the whites, and sending the boys off to war to die because the woman couldn't take care of the property. So the German government was stealing everything, stealing all the Jews and all the Germans and all the Lutherans, stealing all their property. And Trump's mother is a McLeod of the McLeod clan.
Connor McLeod. There may only be one.
Kinda. That means there's only one Don. In the Scottish clans, there's kind of like the beekeepers or the free kings, the Carls. They're allowed to be free roaming dons, which they are abided by no admiralty law, no law whatsoever. They're free to roam. And in certain families and certain sects, and like in Turkey, you have 13 families. There's only one family at a time who is the King Dingaling. In Iran, they have a more blatant version, a theocracy, where you have the Supreme Ayatollah, because they're just more blatant about it.
Well, they're what's known as 12ers in Iran. They believe the 12th imam's going to come, and that there has to be an apocalypse and blah blah blah.
And of the 12, you have the 13th, which is the Don Giovanni, the Carl, the Free King, the whatever. They all have stupid names. The horse fucker. Like when King Charles when he becomes king, he has to fuck a horse.
Like what's her face? Like something the Great. What was her name? The chick from Russia that ruled over Russia.
Well, that was all. They were
Catherine the Great. Yeah, Catherine the Great.
She's crazy into sex magic too. create.
She created some kind of pulley system or had a pulley system.
Rasputin, you know Rasputin, right? He
Yeah.
was a sex magic guru with a big dick.
Sex magic guru with the big
What's
dick.
her name that put her forehead on Jay-Z's head? Maria Abramovich. That Abramovich family, they're Rasputins. So her brother, who's a billionaire, who robbed everything with Nathan Rothschild and Oleg Deripaska in Russia, and the Browns and the Harrimans from California. She's descendant of Rasputin. So that's why everyone worships her and adores her. Like Jay-Z crying in front of her and putting his forehead on it because he's part of the sex magic group as well. And then remember,
that Nix, whatever it is, NXX thing, is that what
NXIVM. Well, NXIVM is Canadian and American and Jewish intelligence. That's like the Bronfmans is NXIVM. The Bronfmans are who went after Michael Jackson. His daughter, who has all the tattoos on her now, that she's the daughter of he held the baby over the thing because he was threatening the Bronfmans because it's heir to his family. He was threatening the Jews. Kick me, kike me, everybody sue me, everybody Jew me. The Bronfmans were the ones who got that housemaid hired that Michael Jackson impregnated. And that was a sexual ritual as well. And all the lawyers that were suing Michael Jackson were NXIVM lawyers too. You know that prostitute porn actress who was coming after Trump, what's her name?
Stormy Daniels.
Stormy Daniels. She has a NXIVM branding from Keith Raniere, and she has that completely covered in a rose tattoo. A flowering bud is I was raped when I was a kid. That's what when you deflower someone. If anyone has flowers on them and they're in sex magical.
Wow.
Or a butterfly or a sun and a moon, any of the esoteric gay shit. But she was part of the whole NXIVM stuff with Allison Mack. And that involves like Rachel Chandler, the child handler. Rachel Chandler was the one who took the picture of Pope Benedict's shoes. And she was the one who put on her Instagram the security screen on Rothschild Island where everyone was sitting on the bucket. Because when they eat the human flesh, they have to shit into a bucket and they have to eat that shit too. And they're sex magic.
All right.
What the hell?
Yeah. And
we're not even gonna get to any of the fudge. I'm fucking tired as fuck. I just want to end it on cannibalism and shitting.
Yeah, sex magic.
Sex magic, shitting in the buckets. Didn't even get to the
anyway, those red shoes that Pope Benedict was wearing, the red shoes, they're made by a certain Sicilian Italian dude, and he makes it. The shoes are made out of human skin.
Wow, that's crazy, man. But just remember, if the FBI comes to talk to you about anything, you can't lie to them because it's a federal crime, and the best bet is just to tell them you don't want to talk.
I've been talking about this stuff on the internet for over.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the whole Kamixgate thing with the
I have
shooting.
no plans on making human meat shoes. Oh wait, there's Kamixgate drama.
You didn't know about that? That's Fans
people.
Fest.
Yeah.
FBI went to talk to Ethan supposedly, and they're going to go talk to this little movie perv weirdo who's made a song talking about shooting a bunch of people and killing Shane Davis. And crazy.
Wow. You know David Spade, right? David
yeah.
Spade, the actor.
Yeah.
They shoestring his sister. His sister was into making purses out of people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's that whole thing. What's it called?
Yeah, the Spade family is.
Yeah.
I'm going to bed.
All right, man. Peace. Hey, you stopped playing Arc Raiders, right?
Yeah, I needed a break. Break all this.
They keep
fucking.
Yeah, but they keep changing everything so
People
much.
keep rat fucking me, man. I got tired. I started playing games where everybody I see, I kill. None of this like, hey, how are you? Hey.
Yeah.
No more of that. Hey, are you cool? Hey, are we cool? And then they rat fuck me. No more. Now I'm just like, I see you. I canoe your head. In the video game.
I haven't played it in a while, man. They keep changing a bunch of
shitting
shit in it, man, and adding more stuff and doing different things. And it's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. I'll hop back in, but I'm going to bed, guys. Y'all
All
have
right,
a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks for stopping by.